Keter,
Yeah.
and he was abducted. Can we say commando style? What we see in movies, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that is not how you arrest someone or
Yeah.
summon someone to come explain themselves if they are suspected to have committed any crime.
Okay.
So what Kenyans, the blood that Kenyans are paying for right now
Mm-hmm.
is for this whole establishment called government to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Kenyans want to elect fresh people.
Okay.
Kenyans don't believe in Ruto anymore. They call him a lying president, a lying and flying president.
Right.
So that is the mood of the country. That is the state of the nation.
Yeah.
And I will just try also speak about yesterday.
Okay.
So we saw the president being asked tough questions by very, very seasoned journalists, and
Right.
they even played clips to showcase why he's a liar.
Yes, they did.
Okay, they played clips,
Yeah.
and from the interview, it even fueled us. It even fueled our anger because the president is not emotional about the lives lost.
Right.
The president is not um, alive to the fact that we want changes, not short term surgery. We want
Mm-hmm.
radical surgery of this government.
Yeah.
What we want is for the cabinet to be disbanded. We want
Mm-hmm.
an IEBC and we want Ruto to resign
Right.
because there is no goodwill from this government.
Right.
From from the speech yesterday, you could tell that President Ruto has realized that this pressure is not going to go away from the young
Right.
people.
Mm-hmm.
So, so he has tried to call for a national dialogue, which we are not going for because we have no leaders. Each of us are leaders in our own right.
That is so true.
So, yes, but yesterday, so he wanted to join the spaces, but before he joins these spaces, what we're asking for, can he do what we've asked for? We want him to do away with this cabinet. We
Okay.
want parliament disbanded. We
Right.
don't want him to govern us. You cannot govern us and kill us.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I can see a few members of parliament who are basically ready to resign. We have like Daniel Manduku who says like he's ready to resign, so the parliament should definitely be dissolved. Some are not really afraid to like leave that position and basically to let like maybe a new people to be elected in. Some are definitely agreeing to it because they're basically they can see the elephant in the house, definitely. And
So
some. Mhm.
yes. Just continue. Sorry.
Yeah, and some I know they're in the house, like the parliament, and they basically know what they're doing. But some are also like really ready for change, and they're not even afraid to resign to basically dissolve parliament. And that's a really good thing to see few members of parliament agreeing to change because they basically know what's happening in that house.
So yeah. So Daniel Manduku is an MP
Yeah.
from the Azimio side in Kisii, and
Okay.
so I'll tell you something that is happening
Mm-hmm.
now. Kenyans are occupying the MP's premises, business premises, churches, and calling them out. You saw
Yeah.
they attacked one MP in a burial ceremony in Kamba.
Yeah.
Yesterday in Narok, one of the MPs was attacked, and you've seen some other MPs apologizing alongside their spouses because they know Kenyans are angry, and no one is going to protect you against angry Kenyans.
Yeah.
For the
That is
longest time, for
true.
the longest time,
Are you there?
where we're talking about the
Mm-hmm.
power we have is vested in the people and can be exercised either directly or through representatives. The
Yeah.
representatives have failed Kenyans and young people like me and you. That's why
Mm-hmm.
the young Kenyans have said, we want to exercise this now directly. Okay? And
Right.
also, something to note is that the parliament, you see, what happened last time is that President Ruto, through his cabinet secretary for defense, Duale,
Mm-hmm.
gazetted KDF as
Yeah.
being deployed to come and help the police. And
Yeah.
then the next day, they reconvened in parliament to now pass the motion. That is subversion of the constitution. It is
Mhm.
supposed to be the other way around. You're supposed first to meet in parliament
Right.
and reach that consensus before gazetting. Okay?
Hmm.
So we are seeing a lot of illegalities. We
Right.
are seeing a lot of illegalities in this, in the way the House called Parliament is
Yeah.
carrying out its business, in the way
Hmm.
Ruto is governing. And we've said you cannot bulldoze the constitution because
That
we are
is
not a
true.
banana republic. Okay?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what is going to happen is after the speech yesterday from Ruto, yes, he mentioned that he wants to reconstitute IBC. Yes, he mentioned that he's soul searching about his cabinet. We don't want him to soul search. We want him to fire the whole cabinet. Yes,
Right.
he's mentioned that he's going to scrap off the CAS positions. We want actions. We don't want him to just say he's known to be a lying president. And it's a
Okay.
very, very bad narrative because Kenyans now want him to show action, not to actually just tell us, not lip service.
Hmm.
So let me tell you
So
what is going
true.
to happen. I am
Okay.
part of the movement. I am not a leader of the movement, but I'm part of the movement.
Okay.
We are still going to go back to the streets. We are not leaving
Hmm.
the streets. We want to pile
Okay.
pressure for Ruto to resign. We don't want the
Right.
talks. Some young people who are paid by politicians
Hmm.
tried to masquerade as Gen Z leaders. We shunned them and we say we are going to tunaita tunaweza wasalimia watupatie namba zao because we don't want such kind because this is the theatrics and stage managing of talks
Right.
that's happened before with BBI and NADCO and nothing good ever comes out of it, Waton. So from the Twitter
Right.
spaces that have joined from morning, people are devoted
Yeah.
to go on with the struggle. We are going to make sure Ruto is not in power. And if
Yeah.
Ruto makes it past this week, he will be a first-term president. But
Really.
we we are united more than ever that Zakayo lazima ashuke. Hii nchi ni
All
yetu sisi
right.
wote, milioni 55, si ya
I
watu
definitely
si ya watu 400. It's not for the 416 people in parliament and the
yeah.
cabinet and Ruto. No, they're just a part of it. We form government. We formed this government and we're going to dismantle it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, I definitely concurrent to what you're saying because we also see the likes of Mutai Kagwe, who was talking about the fact that if you want Kenyans to pay taxes, you basically have to explain the end game. And we also saw this has a few comments in regards to the people who are talking about this. We see Dr. Jim McFay, who said that Kenya will definitely end up like Haiti if we don't change the economy, you know? And just a quick question. Is there a protest this week?
Yes, we are planning a protest, not one.
Mm-hmm.
We're planning two protests this week. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just waiting for communication because also we've been infiltrated by speaking on Twitter Spaces. So we
Right.
are coordinating ourselves. And yes, we are supposed to do a demonstration tomorrow
Okay.
just to speak the names of the likes of my namesake Erickson Mutisia, who died. All these people who have died for this cause, we need to chant their names as we walk to parliament, as we walk to state house, sorry.
Mm.
And we need to put pressure. This government needs to go. Ruto is a very smart politician. He has
Okay.
seen that all the odds are against him. So he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to be a smart politician,
Right.
but we are not falling for it because we are educated as young people.
Mm-hmm.
We know these delaying tactics. We are not with the people who are going to meet Ruto in the face of saying that we are not negotiating with him. We have irreducible minimums
Mm-hmm.
that he should meet. If he doesn't meet, there were 11 irreducible minimums,
Right.
and all of them are because the government is functioning like a bourgeoisie. These guys are living the life. They're buying expensive
Mm.
watches. They are contributing 20 million in Arambes. yesterday he said that that will stop, but we want to see it happen.
Okay.
After that, we want him to do the most honorable thing and resign as the president of Kenya.
Right, because everywhere you go in regards to vlogs, that's what people are talking about. Just a quick question concerning that. Is there a protocol in regards to him resigning?
So yes, the protocol was there are two ways constitutionally.
Yeah.
If Ruto can only be impeached by parliament,
Okay.
or if he is declared not of sound mind, or the other way for him is to do the most honorable thing and resign. Because then this is what we want to do, a coup as the people. Because parliament is dead. He has vote of parliament, he has majority, so they will never sit down and put forward a motion of impeachment of Ruto. So the executive has bought parliament. It's an appendage of the executive. So the only thing that we're doing is Article 1. We are saying, fine, we gave you a mandate. Constitution. You see, a constitution is a contract between the executive and the public.
Right.
So, as the public, we are saying we are now exercising our mandate as per Article 1, because we gave you a mandate, but you did not fulfill or satisfy our wishes. So we want you off that seat. We want to elect a fresh president, a new parliament. There's a senior counsel called Dr. Willis.
Okay.
Willis Otieno was speaking on Twitter Space yesterday, and he said even right now, if we start following the constitution, we will be at very, very serious bottlenecks, because he has the instruments of the constitution, that is the judiciary, executive, and parliament. So the only way to remove Ruto out of this presidential seat is to give him enough pressure for him to know that we don't want him, or we go the Sri Lanka way and get into the State House.
Right. Right. But we understand that Kenya has like a whole load of like debt in regards to like 80 million or billion in regards to China. And I remember when Jimmy Wanjigi said that Kenya is bankrupt, but the president would not admit it. So how would that be able to be compensated if we basically if he has to resign?
So yeah, it's very easy. You see, we have constitutional bodies. You see, the executive is not the only body that. In fact, Ruto has been keeping our debt a secret. We want a public portal where we can see, hii ndio deni ya Kenya. This is what Kenya owes the world. Then we budget how to, because let me tell you, it was during Ruto and Uhuru's regime that we passed our ceiling for borrowing was 6 trillion. When we went up to 9 trillion. So, but see, the anger with Kenyans is that this, you see, you can never be borrowing to feed the wage bill. That is what Ruto is doing. You can't borrow to pay salaries. You borrow to do infrastructural development. We have not seen any. Ruto is borrowing left, hand, right, center, but this money is just being budgeted for corruption. So, if Ruto resigns, the country will not. In fact, the country will be better. It will not. There's no stalemate. We have a functioning institutions. Treasury is an institution on its own. What we don't have is the driver's seat is the problem, and that is President Ruto and his cabinet. We have not seen any measures for them trying to make Kenya better, apart from money being borrowed to be stolen by the elite. So we have said enough is enough. We can run the country. I mean, we can get fresh electable people who will be responsible and accountable to the people of Kenya. That's what we are saying, Everton.
Okay, definitely. I'm following what you're saying. And Hope, you've said there's a protest this week.
Yes, and not one. We are calling upon all Kenyans, not only Gen Z and millennials, to come out and speak their voice to this injustice, because mothers have lost children, people have lost spouses, and we have lost brothers and sisters. Yes.
Yeah.
So this cannot go on like this.
Yeah, it's very saddening that we've lost some amazing heroes who are ready to basically voice their cry out, and in regards to the protest they had to lose their life. That's very unfortunate, and I believe that's why more people are definitely coming out in regards to basically cutting off the finance bill. And we saw it was from the finance bill to basically telling or basically putting out the motion of the president should basically resign. And I believe that the bill is literally withdrawn completely. Is that true? Because there's the 21 days conversation. If he doesn't really sign it, it's already been passed.
Yeah, before I say that, I need to mention something. We saw an
Okay.
abduction happening. We saw an abduction happening yesterday, and on
Mhm.
Friday, Justice M. Thande of the High Court
Right.
released very favorable orders that no protester should be tear gassed, or they should not use water cannons or use
Mhm.
any force against any protester. But still, we saw this, and no one should be abducted. So this government is the same bad habits like the Uhuru government.
Right.
They don't actually honor or follow court orders. Let's go
Mhm.
to the bill. Yes, if the bill, even if the president does not assent to the bill in 21 or 14 days, the bill becomes law. So
Okay.
what the cure that has happened is that um, uh, Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo has drafted another bill to now have a parliamentary sitting, okay,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and actually now discard the other one, but it has to do through a bill that he has prepared, because yeah, it was
Okay.
going to go into law. So we are not even sure if the Kenya Kwanza regime is going to support it to be dropped. But yeah, that is the procedure. So government parliamentary procedure has to be followed. So that is where we are right now, because the parliament is in recess. So I know it will be an early recall, and I hope that they will go with discarding the bill using the senior counsel Otiende Amolo's
Okay.
Amolo's motion. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Until when is Parliament in recess? Like until when?
So they're supposed to
When are they
see
gonna be
the.
back?
I think they have to come back early, because the mood in the country is not okay. And also yesterday I had President Ruto saying that in the next 10 days he will reconstitute IBC. That can only be done by an act of parliament. So I
Mhm.
think in the next 10 days they're going to come back. If as I get more information, I'm going to share to you. But that is the state as we stand today.
Alrighty, I definitely agree with you in regards to that because everywhere I go, as I said earlier, people are really past the finance bill, and now they're really talking about the president should definitely resign. And I believe you always have this conversation in your is it in your podcast or your channel? Definitely.
Yes. We've been having this conversation, and we'll still keep having the conversation, because what we want is we want this country to have transformative leadership. We
Okay.
want the country to have a leadership that responds to the cries of the people, is alive to the fact that Kenyans are struggling, not a small, tiny minority, entitled tiny minority, gobbling up billions as the rest of Kenyans struggle with daily needs. And you want to tax us, and you want to auction us to the IMF and World Bank? We have said, excuse me, Mr. President, no. That is not how we're going to run this country. We are not going to be auctioned to the IMF, to the Western world. We want to
Right.
run our country, and as you apply austerity measures, then let's live within our means. You cannot be flying a 200 million jet, okay, and back here you want to tax us to raise a 4 trillion budget. No, it doesn't happen like that. You want to fund your office of your wife, who we never elected, 700 million shillings. Office of the prime cabinet secretary's wife. The prime cabinet secretary himself, the office is unconstitutional. The office of the second spouse is unconstitutional. CAS positions are unconstitutional. So you're creating jobs for your cronies while the rest of Kenya is struggling. We have said no. And us young people are correcting the mistakes of our parents. Kenyans are known to be resilient, and our parents were very, very people who were hurting but never spoke. But this
Yeah.
is a different generation. We are speaking out. We are coming out in the streets. It is not a class war or a tribal movement.
Hmm.
It is unity of purpose, and it is the strongest we can ever get. Even Right Honorable Raila Odinga, in his highest peak of his political career, he has never he has never galvanized a movement like this. So this is historical. The whole world is talking about Kenya. Africa
Yeah.
is talking about Kenya and applauding the Kenyan youth for doing what we are doing. So we
Mm.
are not stopping. We are not stopping. We are going forward. We are going to make sure that Zakaya Shuke, Ruto is out of state house, and we reclaim this country as young people.
Right. I always say here on Let's Pop with Everton that you are the change you need to see in the world. And this is one question also that so many people always inquire in regards to new people being elected or being given certain positions in regards to being a member of parliament. And before they get that position, they're always like amazing people with amazing conversation. They're going to change the world. And then later, when they get that seat, they become totally different people. Don't you think that might happen again because they're going to be bought off? What's um,
Uh,
the risk
I,
in
I,
regards to choosing new
I agree.
people, paying for like better governance, not being
I
the same
agree.
people as the one we've removed from parliament?
So, Ewaton, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation before. What we said
Mhm.
is, there's the conversation that has been going on leadership is that people have been voting on tribal grounds and party positions. Right
Yeah.
now, we want Kenyans to offer themselves for leadership. We want to check your track record. Then also want to correct this wrong by making sure that recalling an MP, recalling a member of parliament or an MCA or any other person in any position of government will be easier because
Mm.
they had they had watershed laws making it very hard for you to recall an unperforming member of parliament or county assembly. So we're working on
Right.
that, but also take a look. I vied in the last election. I had a track
Okay.
record. I vied under the umbrella of reducing burden to Kenyans. But because
Okay.
Kenyans were voting on tribal lines and my millennials and Gen Zs had not taken votes, they could not vote for me. So now we want Gen Zs and youths who are forming around 18 million voting bloc
Okay.
of this country to take the reins of leadership. We also call upon these young people who feel they can make a choice, a change in government, in public
Right.
policy, in governance, in any position of leadership, to come forward and offer themselves. Let them sell their manifesto. I had a
Hmm.
manifesto that was out of this world. What on
Hmm.
my manifesto was on artificial intelligence and
Okay.
bringing these kind of things to the young people of Kenya. But the voters could not relate because they don't know artificial intelligence. They are old people. So the young
Hmm.
people need to take these reins of power so that we even revolutionize agriculture, we revolutionize all sectors of this industry to make
Hmm.
Kenya a successful country. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
In Kenya today, we are importing 95% of our consumption. My
Okay.
God. But all the raw materials come from Kenya and Africa.
That is true.
You drink you can drink the best tea and coffee in
Hmm.
the UK, but you can't find it in Kenya.
Right.
I mean, how can that be? The best coffee in the world comes from Kenya and Ghana.
Yeah. Yes.
The best coffee in the whole world, not in Africa, in the whole
Hmm.
world, but we can't get it here. So what we're finding is that the capitalist establishment is
Hmm.
taking advantage of the backwardness of our people reasoning and knowing that
Hmm.
everything is political. So
Right.
everything is in politics because public policy shapes the governance of a country.
Right.
So we need to stop exporting young people out of this country and create
I agree.
opportunities for them here.
Me
We don't want
too.
people to go do slavery in Saudi Arabia and everywhere. We want people to have opportunities here. We want
That
people
is
to
true.
create an environment for business here to thrive so that you can be self employed or in employment, gainful employment in your own country, not in other countries where you're treated like trash. Our
Right.
president has been advocating of export of labor. I mean, who
Mm.
does that? That is
Not
not
a lot at all.
patriotism.
Yeah.
That is neoliberalism. That is neocolonialism.
Right. Go on.
So yeah, I think with that, I think I've given my submission for today. So I think
Amazing.
my parting shot will be like, Viva a luta continua. We're continuing with the struggle. I hope young people will not tire. I am so pained and hurt by us
Right.
losing people. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
these are our martyrs of this fight, but
Right.
we are going to make sure that we don't abandon the struggle so that
Right.
they can
Right.
realize the fruits of our labor later on, and their names will
Right.
live in our hearts and will
Definitely.
be symbolically modified in the history to carve the history of this country moving forward.
Right, right. Before you leave, Mr. Erickson, you've been very you've been pushing for change in regards to everything about Kenya. Even the fact that you talked about that we can basically manufacture a lot of things here, but there's a lot of raw materials that come from Kenya, and then there's a lot of rebranding that are done outside Kenya. That has been happening for like forever. Let me say that. And getting someone or a leader who understands and believes that we can manufacture everything here, have our own factories, and also, as you're saying, create labor here. And we've seen that even in the educational system, we're not taught how to own things or having entrepreneurial skills. We're taught how to basically be employed, literally. But I believe because you can see there's a lot of unemployment in the young people. A lot of companies, these guys have gone to, they've studied, they have masters, name them, but they come back and they're doing very menial jobs. That's not the way, because now everybody is coming back in regards to doing digital marketing, online jobs. But the fact that that speaks volumes of the educational system. In your position before you leave, what would you like change in the educational system? Hypothetically, like a rhetorical question.
So I think this is what you're talking about is a historical injustice in Africa and in Kenya,
Yeah.
because what happened is that we had the first liberation struggle, and unfortunately our forefathers, namely the first president and his family,
Hmm.
decided to reward themselves with land and resources.
Okay.
Then we had the second liberation after the 24 years of Moi. Unfortunately, we had what we call Kibaki tried, but we had what we call Anglo leasing and all these scandals.
Hmm.
Then we elected IECC suspects, people who were charged with corruption, people who were charged with
I think we lost him for a bit. Mr. Erickson, are you there? Maybe he's gonna join us back again. But basically, he was trying to explain the fact that Kenya and mostly Africa, it's the way it is. The fact that we are not manufacturing our own things, or basically a lot of raw products come from here, but they're basically being rebranded in other part of the world with a different name. But everything comes from Africa and in Kenya. And I believe you're giving an explanation of how this started. In regards to that, that has been Mr. Erickson Adhiambo hoping to basically run or get our position in parliament soon. He has an amazing, I can say, target or vision to bring change to Kenya and also in his constituency, which he's basically running for. Hoping him all the best. Hoping he's going to join us back or come in again. But that has been it. I was basically sharing a video before he joined us this beautiful afternoon in regards to what the member of parliament, Daniel Manduku, was saying, that he was basically explaining the reason why parliament should be dissolved. And he said that he's ready to resign. We've seen a lot of people who said no to the finance bill saying that basically they're ready to resign, and they're basically agreeing to the fact that parliament should be dissolved, because I believe they understand what's happening with this government. But most of them, because most of them said yes, they're not agreeing to that. There was an interview with Daniel Manduku. He's an MP, I believe, in Eldoret or Kisumu, not Kisumu, basically Eldoret. And he said that he was ready to resign, and he's pushing for the fact that Parliament should be dissolved, because we just need new leaders everywhere. The whole parliament, the government, and that's what Erickson Odhiambo is basically pushing for. And he said they're planning for protest this week, and hoping it's going to be a peaceful one. I'm going to share this video by Daniel Manduku, a member of parliament, talking about the fact that parliament should be dissolved.
You've not even finished a term. This is like baptism by fire, literally.
Correct. Yeah. It was an experience like no other. First, I think, let me start by sending my condolences to the children that we lost in these demonstrations. I am one person who believes that one life lost is a life too many, whatever the circumstances, and there's no explanation whatsoever that can make that right. In fact, if you allowed me, I would even sing, so that
Go ahead.
we remember these children.
Go ahead.
When the second picture, where the speakers are evacuated ahead of members of parliament. In fact, Speaker Amazon Kingi was evacuated in an ambulance. You know, in the military, if we're in military formation, the speaker is a general. The deputy speaker is a lieutenant general. The minority leader, majority leader are the major generals, and some of us are corporals and other ranks. In warfare,
I believe a lot of the MPs who are basically agreeing to the fact that parliament should be dissolved are basically really tired about this government, because we've seen he's being interviewed. He said he's only served for one term, and the journalist is basically asking him, when you're ready to basically leave just like that, he said yes. And he talked about the fact that the members of parliament were being evacuated from parliament using an ambulance, which was not right, because there are people basically losing their life. And the fact that they were basically running away, it means they were not really doing what they're supposed to do, or maybe they basically voted yes to this finance bill. And that's why Daniel Manduku is saying that parliament should be dissolved.
Yeah.
Hello, Kate. How are you doing?
general leaves last.
I'm good. How you doing?
Great, thank you.
Soldiers have all left or have been evacuated, then you leave. Here, it is the reverse. But more than that, when a speaker is evacuated in an ambulance, what does that tell you?
Maybe he's guilty?
The third image, that photograph, which has been circulated, I think I watched it from even CNN. And when you look at this scenario, whatever you want to say, Parliament was taken over. And this is a first, not just in this country, but I think in the whole of Commonwealth. I've tried to read through history.
You're talking about the Commonwealth of the British. It means you're still a British subject. This moron is so corrupt, so fucked up, like all African leaders are. I don't even call them leaders; they're all puppets. All moronic ass puppets should be in charge of a damn bakery, let alone a whole country. They're all corrupt and fucked up in the head. They got taken over because you unjust the people. Parliament's supposed to represent the people. The votes that were given did not represent the people. It represented colonialism from white people, IMF and World Bank. So actually the Kenyans, what they did was actually absolutely correct. When a country does not meet your demands, you must overthrow said country. That's your right as a human being. None of these countries are ever set up to benefit African people. African people have been caught in ignorance and fear. And since the youth of Kenya have got over the fear and they have somewhat educated, not caught with the fake tribalism, the other divisional nonsense that white people have thrown on, like with the religions, tribalism, the youth are starting to like, hey, this don't make any sense. This is stupid. So him being out of touch, and all these African puppets being out of touch, they don't realize that the youth have surpassed their propaganda. The youth has surpassed their nonsense and their propaganda. So it's going to be hard for them to be enslaved to white people's whims. So that's what's happening. He's so despotic and fucked up in the head as a human being. He doesn't care that innocent people were murdered. If this was a functional government, he's supposed to be taken to the Hague right now. Lives were murdered on his watch. It wasn't supposed to be live bullets at all. That's a crime against humanity. But since it's Africa, it's looked at as okay. Right now, he's supposed to be already unseated right now and taken to the Hague and prosecuted right now. What happened last week is a crime, international crime. And so he's dancing on the head of a pin because he's going to be at the ICC one way or the other. His ass is going one way or the other because the white people are going to overthrow his ass because they can't control Kenya through him no more. Right. He's damaged goods. So they always fund both sides of an issue here at times. They're going to try to find their own fake opposition to put in charge and all other kind of fake shit. But I think the youth are too smart now. But he's dancing on the head of a pin. He's no more used to white people, so they got no reason to protect him. They'll send his ass right to the Hague. And they be sitting in jail looking crazy. That's how every African puppet ends up. When they lose actual power. White people don't give a shit about their ass. They think they part of the club. White people can't stand these niggas. You just a useful idiot for the time they need you. And when they're done with you, as your people say, oh, he can't govern anymore. He lost consent of the government. So, you can't govern without the consent of your people. So the people are like, no, we don't want you to go. So he doesn't know it here, Tom, but he's always out the door. Go ahead.
Right. I was basically talking to Erickson with Yampa. I was basically asking him the protocol in regards to the president resigning, because I believe it's a process. And he gave an explanation in regards to the fact that a lot of people, mostly everybody, doesn't want you to.
They don't want it. He lost consent of the government. He doesn't have consent anymore. You lose complete consent every time. Your government dissolves. He's going to try to hold on to power, but it's not going to change. He can't. His fake manipulation, his fake talk doesn't work. Everybody knows he's a liar. Everybody knows he's a puppet. So you won't be able to regain consent of your population for you to be governed them. See, whole scam is that you're supposed to work on behalf of the people. You're the servant.
Right. Yes.
They don't work for you. And since Africa, they know everybody's been kept in so much ignorance. You guys have been kept in tribalism, ignorance, religion. You believe that you work for these people. These are big president. President is a goddamn office, a civil servant who works for your behalf. If he doesn't work for your behalf, you're supposed to be able to get rid of his ass. But that hasn't happened in Africa because Africans have been kept ignorant for so long and fearful. So this paradigm shift is happening And it's scaring the shit out of these puppets. All these puppets. You got Museveni always making claims. You better not be protesting in Uganda. You better not.
Yeah.
Because they're all puppets every time. They've been put there by white. And the funny part, they're mostly all morons. They haven't understand that the youth have surpassed them in knowledge. So they know they're all fucked up. That they haven't gotten the memo yet every time. They can't come out with the oh blessed Jesus, go to some goopy church. That don't work. Maybe on you, but the majority of kids, that shit don't work no more. All that goopy religious shit, that shit's done. Oh, blessed be the church. They got the Kenyans saying, fuck that church. Fuck that church. That was a mean of enslavement. So a lot of youth, like, you can't go to that church shit no more with them. You go there with their parents and their grandparents, but not them. So you can't use the same levels of indoctrination that always worked. The tribalism, the religion, these are institutions of power that were created to keep control for your European masters. That's breaking down. Like, oh shit, Kenya never be the same again. Never, 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 ever, 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 never, because you got too much of an awakening population. The youth are the majority of Kenya and all African nations. So you have an awakening of the populace. We're not going to go back and wait about no Jesus. Be quiet and wait on Jesus. Don't fuck all that. You wait on Jesus. Shit, nah. I'm waiting about none of that goofy shit. So Kenya's at a crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Actually, maybe
it's
take
scaring
one
the,
event, or if
go ahead.
it's,
Sorry.
I guess.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was sharing a video
Actually,
in the
maybe
morning. Actually, this one of the
try to do
guys.
an event, or if it's
Sorry.
an event to pay people to come and transport them. This
One of the activists who was basically leading, not actually leading the demonstration, part of the protest, and I believe they actually kind of like abducted him also, and he also said the same thing as Erickson was saying right now, that the president will basically serve one time and he might not survive. So I was just want to hear what he's saying about that, and then we'll talk about it.
It's
He
no.
can't survive.
The couple
Okay, Keith.
they come together, they take matatus, they walk, and they come because they're committed. They have a bigger picture of this country than we do have. So I see the similarity that they learned from our mistakes,
Yeah,
they learned from our fears, and they came back fearless, saying we want better.
they have iterated. But first, you've organized demos before,
Yes.
right? And just like you've mentioned here briefly, when you're organizing a demo, you've got to think end to end, including the logistics of how this demo will take place. This one, people have just been dumbfounded and wondering, okay, so how did this begin? How did it begin? I'm sure you've sat down and asked yourself and tried to trace the steps back. How did this particular Gen Z protest begin?
So there's no one source of beginning. There's, excuse me, sorry. So this is what actually happens. Members of parliament say they're going to pass the bill, whatever happens.
That was the beginning of everything, just the bill. And it's amazing to actually see this, because you'd think like the young people do not really follow things in regards to the government until the finance bill happened, and people are talking about it online. Young people are talking about it like this is not right. And it's a shock to the guys in government, because they thought maybe the young people are not interested, in anything to do with the government. With
Not
the
that they're just shocked. The shock that they actually mobilize the
Mhm.
power every time. The shock that they actually know what's going on. See, this is them handing the country back to white people completely, openly.
Right.
This is recolonization on a level that would hurt them, the youth, and their children's children. These are the corrupt bastards giving Kenya back to white people completely.
Yeah.
And you know, white people still control it, but there's going to be a complete control without any pretense anymore. And so The youth seem to know that. We're online. The idea that you shouldn't be involved in politics. You got to be involved. That affects everything in your daily life. So they give you distractions. Oh, care about entertainment news and music. Fuck all that insignificant nonsense. That's all fluff and nonsense. That doesn't affect your day-to-day life. So talk about these things affect your day-to-day life. And they don't want you to know what's going on. They were surprised that their youth knew what's going on. And they also took action. Not that they just sit back and stare. See, these African despots are used to people being scared. Most Africans are cowardly and scared. Ooh, no. Jesus. Oh, They call African people docile. So they're weak and stupid. So this is not me. This is white people tell you. So sorry about your white friends. I'm just gonna be honest with you. They call you weak, stupid, and docile. And so they nurtured these puppets to treat Africans the same way. But they didn't get the memo that scam doesn't work anymore because the youth are now breaking off those chains of oppression. You're not gonna tell me I'm stupid. I know what the fuck is good. You're not gonna gaslight me with lies. Everybody was out there. That's what used to tell lies every time. Like I told Demore. You ever watched the TV show called The Simpsons, the cartoon?
Yeah.
You ever watched that as a kid? Okay. There's a character on there called Sideshow Bob, right?
Yeah.
And he says all outlandish shit. So years ago, when America was invading Iraq, there was this guy just saying all kind of crazy stuff, right? When America's about to take over the country, he's like, oh, we killed the Americans. They're now in retreat. We're destroying them. And Americans are down the street laughing. And so they gave him a name off the Simpsons show. Instead of calling him Sideshow Bob, since they was in Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, they called him Baghdad Bob. Because the lies were so outrageous, right? So that's what you got happening in Kenya. The lies are so outrageous. You got the guy said, Mr. Speaker, I'm a photographer, and these images I'm telling you are not even from Kenya. They're from another country. Right? The lies are so outrageous every time because they're used to Africans being idiotic and not being able to I shouldn't say any kind of lie. He said, instead of looking out the window, see these pictures are from Kenya, not from other African countries.
Right.
But they used to be able to tell so many over the top lies, and they never held to account. Now they are. And that's why you haven't had him apologize. I'm sorry for saying that. You know it's a lie when you told it. You know, but you didn't know that the energy had changed in Kenya. You know it was a lie when you were saying that crazy shit. It was over the top crazy. Oh, I'm a photographer. I know pictures. These are not Kenyans. These are pictures from other countries. Like what? And then the other guy talking about they eat their KFC, they drive Uber. So you said all Africans are supposed to be poor then. So if you are able to benefit from the economics of the country, that's a problem. That's how corrupt and fucked up and backwards. But this all African countries. And you African leader told you, I've been told your time is up. Are your people going to get you? Or the white man's going to get you because you're no more used to them. And they're going to try to put in another puppet, but that's not going to work. The youth are too awake. You can't use the religion no more. You see any of these goofy churches come out to help the youth? No. Because your religion's phony. Where was Jesus? Where were these priests, these Catholic priests or Baptist priests, whatever goofy denomination? Why weren't they out there with the youth fighting for justice? Ain't Jesus about justice? Because it's only for mind control. That's why. They're fucking about no damn justice. Shit. The religion's for mind control. And so that's not working on the kids either. That's why they went occupy these churches. Oh, no. Because the church was never there to benefit black people and your liberation. The churches were created for your enslavement. Okay? So when you see about liberation happen, you see these churches go out there to help you. No. Where was the Pope at? Where are all these religious morons at? They didn't say shit because Africa, the churches got rich off of Africa. See, that's a little dirty secret. The church owns more land in Africa than anywhere on the planet. Africa's the richest country. They never bought it. They stole it. Catholic Church owns more land in Africa than anybody. Do you think anybody gave the church their land? No. They stole it. So they're not there to help you get free and take the land back that they stole from your stupid ass and from your ancestors who fought them. This is supposed to believe, yeah, I wait for my heaven and wait for my goods and when I die and go to heaven. All other kind of retarded shit. The youth are saying no more. No more of that. No more. So what you see is a breakdown, Irritant, of the old levels of indoctrination breaking down. The fear, the religion, all that shit's breaking down. So white man is fucked up. He's like, what the hell are we going to do now? His puppets are losing power. The Africans are going to start asking for their resources back. That's what made us rich. Being told all kind of lies that they were savages and all. And since we got 4 generations ago, we could tell that lie. And they told that lie to their kids. They told that lie to their kids. And the youth said, nah, that's all lies. So, like, goddamn. So,
I agree with you. Yeah. I believe the youth right now, as Keith has said, and basically be having this conversation, they're very woke and they're just tired of the same old things, basically the cycle of the same old things. They just want something genuine that people basically ask for accountability. If you promise jobs, they want to see opportunities. If you promise to build infrastructures, they basically want to see that. And they're going to question you because you can see even the interviews that the president was.
I want you to think logically, Irritant. How is it that the richest continent, it's not my opinion, it's a fact. How's Africa being the richest continent, Irritant? That's a fact. How's it the less developed in the world if it's the richest continent? Now, I'm asking you that question. Make that make sense. How's that possible? Like the richest continent is the most underdeveloped continent. How's that possible, Irritant?
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Of course it don't make sense. It means it's done on purpose.
Yeah, there's something wrong somewhere.
Yes. There's a disconnect.
Yeah.
What's going on? How can this be the richest continent and Africans are the poorest people? They didn't used to be the poorest people. Africans used to be the richest people.
That's true.
And when white people got control, came in, that were the poorest people. So how could they give you some fake religion, tell you all this nonsense, now they rich, because when they met you, they were poor, Irritant. They were poor. We were rich. Now they're rich and we're poor. So what the fuck is going on? What's happening? So you see the pendulum swinging back for the African kids asking, like Captain Everton, young, 35 years old, over to Kitty Foster, how can we be on the richest continent and we poor? This don't make any sense. This don't make any sense. What the hell's going on? People have been stealing from you and giving you fake indoctrination. So you get yours in heaven while they steal theirs now. They're not waiting for no heaven. They're stealing your shit now. Then they don't want you to get your stuff. That's why they put these puppets in there and these police forces. Remember, Africa didn't have no police. Africa didn't have no jails for the white man. There were no police in Africa, and there were no prisons.
Right.
All of a sudden, how did Africa all of a sudden become prison? Become thieves and shit because the European forced this system on us. That's why. We weren't no thieves and beggars.
Right, guys. Yeah, hopefully this week, my guest who has basically left said they're organizing a protest, a peaceful protest, because they're planning, they need new leadership, or we need new leadership in the country, because it has all been games after games after games. And I believe understanding from the knowledge, the history of Africa, definitely it's the most richest country and continent in the world. But we see how it has been for most years. A lot of poverty, a lot of miseducation in regards to a lot of history that we don't know about ourselves. And even in school, we are taught only about colonization, but nothing
Europeans.
before.
Mhm.
Yeah, nothing before
That
colonization.
your history started. Like your history started when the white man showed up.
That's
Africans
true.
go back many years, but your history shows up only when white people show up with their goofy religion and their theft. What's your history? Who are you? These
Right,
people just got it 2 days ago. How the fuck they gonna teach you about you? So
right.
that's what we're dealing with. You know, the lies, the deception, and if you got free airtime, let's say airtime, you were the first president of any country, right? Wouldn't it have been your first thing to do airtime is to change the educational system and teach
Hmm.
your people who they were? Maybe that would be like the first thing you would have did if you actually were free.
Yes.
You wouldn't teach the glorification of Europeans who came and robbed and raped and killed you. You say, listen, man, we got to get rid of that. We got to teach real African history
Yeah.
because you wouldn't be a puppet. That's how you know all these leaders are puppets because none of the education here, John, was ever changed in Africa. None of it. So you
It's still
never
the same.
got free.
Yeah. It's still the same mode, but we are basically winding up today on Let's Talk with Iriton. The topic has been Make Africa Great Again. We'll be back again on Wednesday with another conversation in regards to redefining Africa, but hoping and also excited to be the change that you need to see in the world. Remember that it's always about redefining Africans as we redefine ourselves. And I'm going to see you later this evening. Take care. Any last words, Mr. Blackout Fire?
Yeah, family. When your enemy educates you, you're never ever educated. When your enemy educates you, you're never ever 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 educated. Because I'm never going to educate you to overthrow me. You
Right.
know, what sense does it make for me to educate you to overthrow me? I'm trying to keep you poor and stupid. I'm not trying to educate you for you. For what? How's it benefit me to educate Irritar? I need it caught up in religions. I need it caught up in superstitions and nonsense. That benefits me. I need that. I don't need Irritar to know who she is, value being African. No, I need her to hate being African, hate her culture, hate herself, and say, "Oh, it's glad that the Europeans came and enslaved us and they stole everything, but they civilized us." I need Airtime to believe that lie. That benefits me. So much love, family.
Much love. That's what Mr. Blackout Fire is saying. When your enemy educates you, you're never educated, right?
Exactly.
Right.
I'm a benefit. What benefits me Airtime to educate you, to overthrow me, to get your shit back? You think I want you to get your shit back? This made me Airtime's made me rich. Now white people are the richest people on the planet. So what benefit is it to me, Airtime, educate you and let you get your shit back and be rich and make me poor again? None.
Right. That's so
I'm
true.
not your I'm not your buddy, Airtime. I can pretend I'm your friend, but no. At the end of the day, you made me rich and I don't want to go back to being poor.
Right. All right, guys. Take care and have a great afternoon. Much love.
Sabi girl no dey too like talk. Animals dey in human form. Body man nobody like walk. But you must hustle if you want job. If no finish, them won't fight us. If them they run, them no fit catch up. I know they from say I too righteous. No con they from say you too like us. You no get the time for the hate and the bad energy. Come on mind, don't